Ladies and gentlemen, let me begin with a little observation I've made over the years. I meet people today who are working harder than ever, yet feeling further behind than ever. Now that's a strange equation, isn't it? Working more, achieving less, running faster, but not arriving anywhere new. And I always say, when effort rises and progress falls, something in the philosophy has gone wrong. We live in a remarkable age. You can watch 100 videos before breakfast. You can hear 50 opinions before lunch. You can be inspired by a stranger on the other side of the world while brushing your teeth. And yet, despite all this inspiration floating around, the average person is more confused, more overwhelmed, and more discouraged than ever before. Isn't that interesting? Never have we had so much advice and so little direction. Never have we been surrounded by so many teachers and yet lacked so much transformation. It seems the world has mastered the art of helping you feel like you're improving without requiring you to actually change. And that, my friends, is the beginning of what I call the dark side of self-improvement. See, self-improvement is a wonderful thing when it's guided by discipline, by consistency, by honest self-evaluation. But it becomes a dangerous thing when it becomes a way to hide from responsibility. People tell me, Jim, I just read another book. And I say, wonderful, but did you do anything with the last one? Because you can't read your way out of a responsibility. You can't journal your way out of a promise you keep breaking. You can't motivate your way out of a life you refuse to organize. I tell people all the time, self-improvement becomes a weakness when it replaces self-discipline. When the search for the next insight becomes an escape from the work right in front of you. When the goal becomes to feel better instead of to be better. When improvement becomes entertainment instead of transformation. And that's why we're here today, not to abandon self-improvement, but to refine it. To take it out of the fog and put it back on solid ground. To make it real again. So in the next part of this lesson, I want to show you the first shadow that hides inside modern self-improvement, the one Jim Rohn warned about years ago, the danger of consuming more than you apply. Now let's talk about the first shadow that hangs over so many well-meaning people today. The habit of consuming more than you apply. You know, years ago, when someone wanted to improve their life, it meant something. It meant a long trip to the library. It meant asking a mentor for an hour of their time. It meant buying a ticket to a seminar and sitting in the front row with a notebook and a serious look on your face. Improvement required effort, and effort made you value what you learned. But today improvement has become a buffet. Pick a little from here, taste a little from there, a book summary before breakfast, a motivational clip before lunch, 10 life-changing insights before you've even left the house. We are drowning in information, but starving for transformation. And I tell people, the illusion of progress is more dangerous than the lack of progress. If you know you're not improving, at least you're honest, you can make a change. But if you feel like you're improving while your life is quietly falling apart, now that's a trap, a deep one. Some people treat self-improvement like dessert, sweet, exciting, fun, but not very nourishing. And after a while, you can eat so much dessert that you actually lose your appetite for the real meal, the work, the discipline, the follow-through. I've met people who have notebooks full of ideas and lives empty of action. They can quote 20 speakers, 30 books, and 40 habits, yet still break the same promises to themselves day after day. They tell me, Jim, I watched 10 videos today. And I say, wonderful. But show me the one thing you did differently because of them. That's the test. Not what you learned, what you became because of what you learned. You see, information doesn't change your life. Application does. A new idea doesn't build your future. Consistency does. Motivation doesn't move you forward. Decision does. And modern self-improvement has created a subtle addiction, the craving for the next insight. You get a little hit of motivation, you feel the spark, and because you felt something, you assume you did something. But feeling better is not the same as becoming better. Don't let emotion replace execution. Years ago, I adopted a simple rule, and I encourage you to write this one down. Take one idea, work it, shape it, live it, stay with it until it becomes part of you. If you do that every week, every month, every season, you won't need 100 new insights. A handful of solid principles applied with discipline will build you a life that most people only dream about. So remember, the dark side of self-improvement is that it can make you feel productive without ever becoming productive. It can make you sound wise without ever becoming wise. It can make you busy without ever becoming effective. In the next part, we're going to uncover another shadow, one that destroys more dreams than failure ever will. The danger of chasing hustle instead of honoring the seasons of your life. Now let's turn to the second shadow that quietly steals progress from so many people today, the obsession with hustle and the neglect of seasons. Let me tell you something I learned early in my career. You can run fast, you can work hard, you can grind all day and all night, but if you're running in the wrong season, you'll still lose the harvest. See, life was designed with rhythm. Nature has rhythm. The marketplace has rhythm. Your mind has rhythm. And your growth, your real, sustainable, long-term growth depends on your ability to recognize and respect these rhythms. But modern self-improvement has created a strange new idea that every day should be summer, every month should be a sprint, and every season should be grind season. Let me tell you, that won't work. You can violate a rule of technique, you can violate a rule of strategy, but you cannot violate the rules of nature. If you try to harvest in winter, you'll freeze. If you refuse to plant in spring, you'll starve in the fall. And if you insist on grinding through winter, summer, fall, and spring without rest, without reflection, without rhythm, you will burn out long before you break through. Some people say, Jim, I'm hustling every day. And I say, be careful. A life without seasons becomes a life without harvest. Hustle has its place. Oh yes, there is a time to push, a time to stretch, a time to demand more of yourself than ever before. That's summer, the season of nurture and protection. But there must also be a time for deep reflection. That's winter, a time to plant new ideas. That's spring, a time to reap the benefits of your discipline. That's fall. Each season has a purpose. Each season has a lesson. Each season has a blessing. The real danger today is that people try to live in permanent July. They want the productivity of summer without the planning of winter, the breakthroughs of fall without the planting of spring, the consistency of a disciplined life without the rest and recovery that rebuild it. And the sad part is this: people don't burn out because they work too hard. They burn out because they work wrong. Wrong season, wrong rhythm, wrong philosophy. The seasons of life are not suggestions, they are instructions. Winter says, pause, plan, prepare. Spring says, plant quickly and with enthusiasm. Summer says, protect what you've created, guard it from neglect and doubt. Fall says, harvest with gratitude and reflect with honesty. And if you work these seasons correctly, your progress becomes predictable, like the turning of the earth. The dark side of hustle culture is that it tricks you into believing you can skip steps. You can't. You can improve speed, but you cannot cheat the cycle. You can increase effort, but you cannot eliminate the seasons. So let me give you a Jim Rohn principle to write down. Success is not built in intensity, it's built in rhythm. It's the pacing that wins, not the panic. It's the balance that sustains, not the burnout. In the next part, we'll move into a deeper danger of modern self-improvement, one that steals joy, confidence, and peace from even the most dedicated people. The danger of becoming a project instead of a person. Now let's talk about a shadow far more subtle and far more painful. A shadow that creeps in quietly, usually, when you think you're doing everything right. It's the danger of turning yourself into a project instead of a person. You see, self-improvement begins with a noble intention. I want to get better. But if you're not careful, it can end with a dangerous conclusion. I'm not enough. And once that belief takes root, every habit becomes punishment, every routine becomes pressure, and every flaw becomes evidence that you're somehow broken. Let me tell you something. You are not a broken project. You are a human being under construction. There's a big difference. Some people try so hard to improve themselves that they forget to appreciate themselves. They fix every detail and miss the whole picture. They see every weakness and overlook every strength. They make a list of everything that's wrong and skip the part where they celebrate what's right. And I always say, don't get so busy improving your life that you forget to live your life. I've met individuals who carry self-improvement like a burden, heavy, exhausting, never-ending. They wake up thinking about what needs fixing. They go to bed thinking about what they didn't fix. And all day long, they judge themselves against a moving target. That's not growth. That's self-criticism dressed in productivity's clothing. Here's a little truth for you. A life built entirely on evaluation has no room for appreciation. A mind obsessed with improvement has no time for gratitude. And a heart constantly measuring itself can never feel at peace. Don't let the mirror become your master. It's wonderful to check your progress, just don't check it every 5 minutes. It's wise to adjust your habits, just don't lose the spirit that drives those habits. It's valuable to aim higher, just don't forget that you started the journey as a full and worthy human being, not as a pile of problems. And remember, comparison is the thief of identity. Modern self-improvement makes it too easy to compare your version 2 to someone else's version 22. You scroll through highlight reels thinking you're behind, but here's the good news. You're right on schedule, your schedule. And that's the only one that matters. Let me give you a Jim Rohn principle to keep in your pocket. Improve yourself, yes, but don't lose yourself. Grow your character, not your shame. Build your future, not your guilt. Because the moment you stop seeing yourself as a person and start seeing yourself as a project, you lose the joy that makes improvement worth it. You weren't meant to live life with a permanent under construction sign hanging around your neck. You were meant to build, to learn, to change, and to enjoy the process along the way. In the next part, we'll explore another shadow that's just as deceptive but even more limiting. The danger of confusing change with value. Now let's talk about another shadow that hides inside the modern world of self-improvement. The mistake of confusing change with value. You know, it's easy these days to get excited about change. A new habit, a new routine, a new journal, a new morning ritual, a new productivity method. And every week, there's something new to add, something new to tweak, something new to rearrange. Some people change so much so often that they never give anything time to work. And I always say, don't let the pursuit of change replace the pursuit of value. See, change is easy. You can change your schedule tonight. You can change your wallpaper in 10 seconds. You can buy a new book in 2 clicks. You can switch routines faster than you switch the channels on your television. But value now, that's different. Value takes commitment. Value takes patience. Value takes consistency. Value takes the quiet work nobody applauds. The modern world has given us an appetite for novelty, not mastery. We want the rush of starting, not the satisfaction of finishing. We want the dopamine of day 1, not the discipline of day 100. We chase the thrill of movement and ignore the purpose of meaning. But here's the truth. Jim Rohn was always trying to teach. It's not enough to get better. You must become more valuable, because value is what changes your future. Value is what increases your opportunities. Value is what elevates your income, your influence, your relationships, your self-respect. You can change every week and still be the same person inside. Same decisions, same excuses, same attitudes, same results. Change without depth is just decoration. Change without character is just motion. Change without purpose is just entertainment. That's why some people are always busy but rarely effective. They're polishing the outside but never strengthening the inside. And no matter how many new habits they add, the foundation remains weak. Let me put it like this. Don't confuse an updated routine with an upgraded life. Don't mistake a new habit for a new identity. Don't assume that because you changed something, you improved something. The marketplace doesn't reward how many routines you've tried. The world doesn't pay you for how many books you've read. Life doesn't bend simply because you've changed your planner again. You get rewarded for the value you develop. Your reliability, your discipline, your insight, your creativity, your solutions, your character. These aren't things you switch. These are things you grow. So here's a principle worth writing down. Change is an activity. Value is a transformation. And the goal of self-improvement is not to accumulate changes, it's to accumulate value. It's to become someone who contributes, someone who matters, someone whose presence improves the room, the team, the family, the future. In the next section, we'll dive into another shadow, one that traps millions in a lifetime of frustration. The danger of believing success is a feeling rather than a foundation. Now let's move to another shadow, one that slips into the mind very quietly and does its damage very slowly. It's the danger of believing that success is a feeling instead of a foundation. You see, we live in an age where everything is designed to make you feel successful before you've earned a single inch of progress. You watch a motivational video, and for a moment you feel 10 feet tall. You write down a big goal, and suddenly you feel unstoppable. You buy a new course, a new journal, a new system, and instantly you feel productive. But let me tell you something. Jim Rohn learned over many years of human behavior. A feeling of success is not the same as the substance of success. A spark of excitement is not the same as a body of work. A burst of inspiration is not the same as a disciplined day. Some people chase the emotion of success so intensely that they forget to build the structure that success requires. They want the confidence before the competence. They want the momentum before the discipline. They want the results before the routine. And it simply doesn't work that way. Success is not built on how you feel. It's built on what you repeat. It's built on the habits you practice, the responsibilities you accept, the promises you keep even when the mood has disappeared. Motivation will make you feel good for a moment. Discipline will make you proud for a lifetime. And here's where modern self-improvement becomes dangerous. It hands out too much inspiration and not enough instruction. It creates emotional highs that mimic progress but never demand progress. And after a while, people mistake the high for the harvest. They confuse the warmth of motivation with the weight of accomplishment. I tell people all the time, don't judge your growth by how excited you feel. Judge it by what you finished, what you improved, what you honored. It's wonderful to feel inspired. Use it, but don't become dependent on it. If you need a daily burst of motivation just to keep going, then you're not building a life, you're maintaining an emotional engine that runs out of fuel every 24 hours. Success isn't a mood. Success is a method. And here's the irony. The more you base your pursuit of success on emotion, the more inconsistent your results become. You'll have good days and bad days, high days and low days, and your progress will rise and fall with your feelings. But when you build on foundation, on structure, discipline, routines, principles, your progress becomes predictable, steady, reliable. It becomes a quiet force, a calm kind of power. And that is the kind of success that endures. Let me give you a principle worth remembering. Feelings fade, foundations remain. It's the foundation you lay today that carries you tomorrow, not the excitement you felt this morning. In the next part, we're going to explore an even deeper shadow, one that often hides beneath ambition and productivity. The habit of thinking you're growing simply because you're tired. Now let's address a shadow that has fooled more ambitious people than almost any other, the belief that exhaustion equals progress. You know, I meet people who come to me proudly and say, "Jim, I'm tired all the time. I must be improving." And I say, now be careful. Tired doesn't always mean transformed. Sometimes tired just means tired. See, somewhere along the way, society began celebrating fatigue as if it were a badge of honor. People wear burnout like a medal. They treat exhaustion as evidence of commitment. And modern self-improvement culture has quietly pushed the idea that if you're not drained, depleted, and dragging yourself through the day, then you're somehow not serious about growth. But let me remind you of something simple. Progress is measured by results, not by exhaustion. Improvement is measured by effectiveness, not effort. Success is measured by movement in the right direction, not the speed at which you're spinning your wheels. Some people are tired because they've been climbing. Others are tired because they've been running in circles. And from a distance, both people look busy, but only one is getting anywhere. Busyness is not the same as business. Motion is not the same as meaning. Effort is not the same as evolution. Jim Rohn used to say, "It's easy to mistake movement for achievement. You can spend the whole day tightening bolts on a machine that's pointed in the wrong direction and end up farther behind than when you started." And that's the danger. When tiredness becomes your scoreboard, you stop asking the more important question, is this actually working? Let me tell you something about real growth. It doesn't drain you every day. It builds you. It strengthens you. It matures you. It makes you more effective, not just more exhausted. Of course, effort is required. Of course, there will be seasons of intense work, but the goal of self-improvement is not to collapse into bed every night proud of how much pain you endured. The goal is to become the kind of person who uses energy wisely, who thinks before they sprint, who plans before they push, who works smarter, not simply harder. Let me give you a principle worth keeping close. If your work is wearing you down more than it's building you up, you're working the wrong plan. Don't let exhaustion trick you into believing you're evolving. Don't let fatigue masquerade as progress. Ask yourself, not how hard did I work, but how far did I move? Not how tired am I, but how effective was I? Because growth isn't supposed to break you. Growth is supposed to shape you. And in our next part, we're going to uncover the path out of these shadows. A new model of self-improvement rooted in Jim Rohn's timeless principles. The Rohn reset. Now that we've uncovered these shadows, let's turn toward the light. Because the purpose of identifying the dark side of self-improvement is not to discourage you, it's to prepare you, to help you build a path that is not frantic, but focused, not overwhelming, but organized, not exhausting, but empowering. So let me introduce you to something I call the Rohn reset, a simple, timeless, principle-centered model for healthy, sustainable growth. Not the noisy kind, not the emotional kind, but the grounded kind, the kind that lasts. Let's begin. Step 1, learn less, apply more. One of the greatest disciplines you can ever adopt is the discipline of selective learning. Not grabbing every idea within reach, but choosing one idea and living with it long enough for it to shape you. I always said, one good idea, fully applied, is worth more than 100 ideas casually explored. So choose one principle per week, just one, and then build your behavior around it. Read it, write it, practice it, teach it, refine it, make it part of your routine, part of your decisions, part of your conversations. When you do that, self-improvement stops being entertainment and becomes transformation. Step 2, set responsible goals, not emotional ones. Anyone can write down a goal when they're feeling inspired. That's easy. People do it at midnight on New Year's Eve every year. But responsible goals aren't emotional, they're engineered. A responsible goal says, this is what I want. This is why it matters. This is when I'll review it. And this is the plan I'll follow. The world needs fewer dream boards and more decision boards. Remember, goals must be reviewed, not just written. Review them weekly, not yearly. A goal without review becomes a wish. A goal with review becomes a blueprint. Step 3, build character before capacity. Self-improvement today focuses too much on skill and too little on character. But skills without character create fragile success. A beautiful building with a weak foundation. So begin with the basics. Discipline, honesty, reliability, integrity. These sound old-fashioned, but let me tell you, they're priceless. The marketplace rewards skill, but life rewards character. When you build character first, every skill you add has a place to stand. Step 4, respect the seasons of your life. This is one of the greatest Jim Rohn principles ever taught. To everything there is a season. There's a season to learn, a season to build, a season to protect, a season to harvest, a season to rest, a season to rethink. Self-improvement goes wrong when people try to live in one season forever. Always learning but never applying, always working but never resting, always planting but never harvesting. Success requires rhythm. Growth requires timing. Wisdom requires reflection. Ask yourself, what season am I in right now? and let your actions match the season. Step 5, partner with your future self. Most people treat their future self like a stranger, someone they haven't met yet. But your future self is the one who will live with every decision you make today. So treat that person like a partner. When you schedule your day, ask, will this make things easier or harder for my future self? When you build habits, ask, will my future self thank me for this or resent me for it? When you face temptation, ask, is this good for the man or woman I am becoming? Here's a line worth remembering. If you want a better future, build a better relationship with the person you'll be tomorrow. That's how you create momentum. That's how you build trust with yourself. That's how you escape the guilt cycle of starting and quitting. The Rohn reset, in summary. Learn less, apply more. Set responsible goals. Build character before capacity. Honor the seasons. Partner with your future self. When you do these 5 things, you stop chasing self-improvement and you start living self-improvement. Growth becomes natural. Progress becomes predictable. Success becomes sustainable. And the shadows that once confused you fade into the background because now you're walking with clarity, not chaos, with purpose, not pressure, with principle, not panic. Now let's bring this entire lesson home. We've talked about the shadows, the traps, the illusions. But remember, my friends, self-improvement also has a bright side, a powerful, beautiful, life-changing side when it's done with the right spirit. Because self-improvement, at its best, is not about pressure. It's about potential. Not about fixing everything that's wrong, but discovering everything that can become right. The right side of self-improvement is not frantic, it's focused. Not overwhelming, it's intentional. Not filled with guilt, it's filled with gratitude. It doesn't say, you're not enough. It says, you can become more. And that little sentence, you can become more, is one of the most empowering ideas a human being can ever carry. See, real self-improvement isn't a race. It's not a competition. It's not a punishment. It's not a desperate attempt to catch up to someone else's timeline. Real self-improvement is a gift you give yourself, a gift you give your family, a gift you give your future, a gift you give to the world through the person you become. But here's what I want you to remember. Self-improvement is a wonderful servant, but a terrible master. Let it guide you, not grind you. Let it inspire you, not intimidate you. Let it elevate you, not exhaust you. Don't get lost trying to perfect yourself. Get focused on trying to build yourself. Build your character, your discipline, your philosophy, your habits, your relationships. Build them slowly. Build them honestly. Build them consistently. You don't need a new life. You need a new approach to the life you already have. You don't need more motivation. You need more meaning. You don't need bigger goals. You need deeper roots. And let me leave you with one of my favorite ideas. If you work hard on your job, you'll make a living. If you work hard on yourself, you'll make a fortune. But if you work wisely on yourself, patiently, steadily, with rhythm and intention, you'll make more than a fortune. You'll make a life. So today, choose the right side of self-improvement. The side that builds you. The side that strengthens you. The side that honors who you are becoming. Let growth be a lifestyle, not a struggle. Let discipline be a partner, not a punishment. Let change be a teacher, not a tormentor. Because when your thinking rises, your habits rise, your standards rise, your opportunities rise. And eventually, inevitably, your entire life rises. And that, my friends, is the true promise of self-improvement done the right way.